Hey guys, welcome back to Soleil Mag. I'm your host, Kerra Denel, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with this wonderful gentleman, designer of the Beckemberg Cricket Club. Today we'll be talking about his brand and his passion for fashion.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Where do I start? My name is Dreu Beckemberg. I'm a Jamaican-born designer. Well, first early years came here at teenager years to New York. And, the transition was a little different for us because, one, I came in the cold winter and, we used to just love the sun, but it was a great opportunity moving here. Decided to become a barber because I'm a creative. I was a born creative. And, I was self-taught. And while I was doing that, it wasn't totally fulfilling after a few years. And I needed to know what was next for me. And I tried my hand at a few things, but, found a love for fashion. And what I decided to do, I took a few courses at FIT. And I guess went around a lot of different designers and different tailors and tried to, learn the craft, do a lot of research on my own, and here I am. First transition from styling to custom tailoring, and after that I decided to transition into ready-to-wear, which is Beckemberg Cricket Club. Interesting enough, even though my family background, my mother and aunts and grandmother has always worked in fashion, but from the manufacturing standpoint. And from the Caribbean, they worked in the free zone area. And I've never ever thought that I was going to do fashion. I took the arts in school and, came here, as I said before, trying to find myself. And, start styling some few friends. And people were like, you have a great eye. And to be honest with you, people more gave me the confidence and inspiration to become a designer. And I tried my hand at it and I enjoyed it. I enjoy starting something from scratch, from a swatch. And one of our slogans are, we make men one swatch at a time.
How does your brand reflect your heritage?
The reason why I call it Beckemberg Cricket Club, I grew up playing cricket in Jamaica. And if you get a chance to look at my past collections, they're filled with colors. And as we know that, the Caribbean is filled with colors, filled with a whole lot of vibrancy and everything. And, you will definitely see that. Pulling my inspiration, it depends on what space and time I'm in. For me, I'm very, I'm a Gemini. So, I have one way I feel this way, and then the next day I pull, from moods. I pull from people. I pull from situations. It depends on what I'm going for that particular collection. And sometimes it just initially start from just a mood I'm in, and I just build around that. I think that every part of my pieces that's in my collection speaks to different parts of who I am. So it'll be, not fair to the other piece to say I like this one more and I like everything about me, most things about me. So, my collection do speak to every part of me, and sometimes people are in my life or around me. So, most recent collaboration I did, it was a contest that was put on by the Craft Syndicate, which is funded by the Dutch Master. And what they do is they marry people from different creative backgrounds. And in my instance, it was fashion. And so they pair a mentor with the winner of that contest. And, you had to, submit designs or one piece that you think that represent that you are. And, I end up winning out of about 2,000 people entry. And this collaboration was with Ouija Theodore from the Brooklyn Circus. He is a well-known Brooklyn designer. He's from Haiti. He's a Caribbean designer. And even though we have seen each other in passing, this collaboration that was brought together by the Craft Syndicate has allowed me to learn a lot more, intricate from the business standpoint, and how do I trim the fat when it comes on to designing my pieces and my collection. So it was amazing. We had to go to Dominican Republic, where we do a couple of our productions, and we were here as well in New York because he's from New York, and we had a great grand opening, which had about over 1,000 people attend, and learn a lot from that. So it's in the works, doing a Brooklyn Circus and Beckemberg Cricket Club.
Would you say you consider your clientele diverse? If yes, how so?
Absolutely. I mean, my piece again is very diverse. It's very colorful, and I'll have a collection that has 20 pieces, and it only speaks to one individual, maybe 3 pieces out of that. Again, because I gravitate to color, I gravitate to lines. So, I work with totally different people. I've worked with people from Africa, from the Caribbean, German. So yeah, it's pretty diverse, especially coming from the styling background and doing custom pieces for individuals where you have to sit and know that client and design for them. So yeah, this cricket line is definitely diverse, very colorful.
What do you feel are people's perception of Caribbean designers?
I don't necessarily know how to answer that question because, one, I came here when I was 15. So most of my adult years and trying to figure out who I am happened here. So I've never really dabbled my design in the Caribbean circuit, which is one of the things that we are planning to do. I was mostly bringing my Caribbean background to the culture that I've been, indulged in over, 20-something years. But I think for me, just looking back, I don't think much Caribbean designers get the respect that they need to. Because one, when it comes on to the Caribbean and fashion, it's not really necessarily the driving culture in the world of fashion. It's not like, we're coming from Italy or we're coming from Paris or we're from the Americas where, the fashion world really try to pull from those people. So it's I think, and that's one of my goals. One of my goals is to really bridge that gap between the Caribbean and mainstream, fashion, so yeah, I don't think, the light has been really shined on Caribbean designers. And yeah, I do consider myself a Caribbean designer because I am who I am. I've always worked for myself. And so for me, it's not just being a designer, it's also being a businessman and also funding your own projects. So for me, my answer to that might be a little different from a student who just wants to be a designer and maybe work for a company. So there are many challenges, is first trying to figure out who you are as a designer. How does that transcend from your mind to the paper to the world? So, I think, challenges are relative, So I don't totally have a direct answer in how is that because it's different for everyone.
Have people tried to dictate your artistic vision because of your background?
Yeah, so people have tried to dictate because of their culture and where they are, and they think that they are from the Americas or they are from Europe, and they should know what fashion is. And so I've gotten people say to me before, "What do you know about fashion? You are Jamaican." I've heard that before, which is very I don't know how to address that, because I think that if you're a creative and it doesn't matter where you're from, and fashion is what you make it. Style is what you make it.
What advice would you give to an upcoming fashion designer or even an entrepreneur?
First is, trying to figure yourself out as a designer. And how you do that is you'll marry skill, whatever you know, with your personality. That's what sets you apart. Yes, there are, certain things that you have to, there's a needle and a thread and there's fabric. We all know those things. But how do you express that to the world? So for me, I never want to lose my personality or who I am in fashion. So that's so important. And also you have to be brave. Have to have a thick skin, because if you're designing for the mass, that's a lot of personalities we're talking about. So never take it personal, and you also take it personal. So, because if it's from the heart and everything you love, you're going to take it personal, but not enough to where you feel like people will dictate your feeling, your look to design. So, I think, and be diligent, be brave, be focused, keep going, and you will definitely break through.
Along your fashion journey, what is one of your happiest moments that you can remember?
One of the first things was my first show ever. I just couldn't believe that this, Caribbean guy who, to the mass don't look like a fashion guy, and I'm tall and a guy of size, and and when I did my first show, and Miss J came and a few other fashion elites was there, and I was like, wow, everybody was here for me. That was really, really amazing. And then the other highlight was within the competition and doing the collaboration with Brooklyn Circus. That was really a good one for me.
Which direction do you see your brand in the next 2 years?
The goal for us is to really break into the cricket market scene first. The world of cricket is really kind of like a cultish type of sport, even though it's the second biggest sport in the world. So first we want to do is to be identified with the sport itself, and gain some leverage and some respect in that market. And so one of the goals is to sponsor, local cricket matches and stuff like that. And then the second goal is to really, try to pull a market online. So we are investing in a very detailed, interactive website that is going to be amazing. So that's kind of like the goal right now. And there's more to come. I want to thank Soleil magazine and the beautiful Kerra for this opportunity. I think it's very important. Soleil magazine is an online Caribbean magazine, and they're bringing more awareness to the creative of the world and everything. And for them to want to interview me I'm flattered. So I want to say thank you, a big thank you to them for that as well.
That's it, guys. You've heard it from Dreu Beckemberg himself. Thank you for being on Du Soleil. It was an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me. I actually enjoyed myself, so it was really cool.
Look forward to what's to come. Hopefully there'll be a women's cricket line in there.
For sure, for sure, for sure.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
All right, bye, guys.